Welcome into Hittin Hard with Jon Chuckery here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Today on the show, what did we learn from the Falcons preseason? Should the Braves have some concerns about the back end of their bullpen? And one Falcon got stiffed. We'll talk about all that next. Hittin Hard with Jon Chuckery, Locked On Sports Atlanta.
This is Hittin Hard with Jon Chuckery, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
Welcome into a Monday edition of Hittin Hard with Jon Chuckery here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Head to youtube.com, put Locked On Sports Atlanta in your search browser. When you get there, hit that subscribe button, leave us a comment. Free and available as well to download on all of your favorite podcast platforms, including Spotify and Odyssey. Leave us a 5-star review when you do that. And, of course, give me a follow on my personal Twitter page. That would be at JMCH316. So Falcons did win on Saturday in their final preseason game as they beat the Jacksonville Jaguars and finished 2-1 on the preseason. So, kind of a little bit weird here in the NFL is there's no games this week, and we got to wait until the September 11th weekend before we get into actual NFL. Well, I guess the Thursday before all of that, but the first full weekend coming up on September 11th. So what did we learn from the Atlanta Falcons in this preseason? I think that there are several takeaways. I think number one is the fact that there is a mindset that this team is always going to try to go out and win. And, I know people want to tank and they want to do this, they want to do that, get a higher draft pick. Coaches don't think that way. Coaches are always trying to win. If you don't win, you're going to get fired. Your GM doesn't win, he's going to get fired. So I do think the mindset and trying to build a culture of winning, I think that's definitely one of the things that we saw with this team during the preseason. I also think that we saw Desmond Ridder can play. Now, this doesn't mean Desmond Ridder is going to replace Matt Ryan, doesn't mean he's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, doesn't mean any of these things. But he certainly looked competent, and I thought he did a lot of good things throughout the preseason. I thought that he showed himself out very well. Now, look, Marcus Mariota is going to start week 1, but again, we've talked about injuries, different things like that. You feel like at least if Ridder has to come in and play or Ridder has to come in and start a game, you feel like he can be competent. Now, here's what we didn't see in the preseason, okay? What we did not see. We didn't see Myles Garrett. We didn't see the Bosa brothers. We didn't see TJ Watt. We didn't see Khalil Mack. We didn't see Aaron Donald. We didn't see any of those guys in the preseason. Let me tell you what we will see in the regular season. The Bosa brothers, Khalil Mack, Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, Aaron Donald, right? You'll see all those guys come in the regular season. But I thought Ridder showed himself very well. I thought he could do some things with his legs. I thought he showed his arm strength. I thought he showed, some accuracy. Thought Desmond Ridder did himself a lot of good throughout the preseason. I also liked the commitment to the running game. And we've talked about here multiple times on the show. Look, it is going to be a different offensive philosophy. Now that you've moved on from the Matt Ryan era, it's not going to be drop back, huck it around, and throw the football predominantly. They're going to have a commitment to the run game. Now, what will be interesting is with some of the changes on the offensive line, I thought the offensive line, by and large, did some good things. They did end up averaging over 4 yards per carry in the preseason, which, again, you're looking for little small nuggets of things to build off of going into the regular season. So I thought the fact that the running game finished with over 4 yards per carry, you hope that with some of the changes on the offensive line, they can maybe open up some holes, maybe with the commitment to the running game, which offensive linemen always enjoy more than trying to pass protect. Maybe our offensive line can be just good enough to help this offense out. Because let's face it, going into this season, that was one of the major glaring weaknesses. And we've talked before about if this team is going to have a successful season, it's going to start with what their offensive line does. Their offensive line is going to dictate how good this offense is going to be. Now, we'll talk more about this in just a second. But first, let me talk about my friends over at BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your place to go for all of your wagering information, right? We got NFL season that is about ready to kick off. Week 1 of the actual college football season hitting up here. Obviously, we are neck deep into baseball divisional races, golf over the weekend. We saw the Tour Championship. Everything you need to bet on is at betonline.net. It's got all your sports wagering information, esports betting, scores, news, podcast information. Everything that you need is available to you in one convenient location. So put betonline.net on your mobile device today. Head there, get all of your wagering information, and bet smarter. BetOnline.net is where the game starts. I also think that this team is going to find a way to get after the quarterback. And I thought they did a better job as the preseason went along about getting pressure on quarterbacks. Now, look, again, they may have to get creative. Again, we saw a lot of 2s on 2s, 3s on 3s and stuff like that. So we didn't see our number ones against everybody's number ones, right, on both sides of the football. But I thought that they showed a commitment to trying to get after the quarterback. I thought Ebiketie had a pretty decent preseason out there. We didn't see a whole lot of Lorenzo Carter. Ogundeji looks like he could kind of help out. But I really thought, though, more than anything, the interior defensive line, where we had a lot of concerns about, okay, we got Grady back. What else are we going to be around there? I thought those guys played well. I thought the Taquan Grahams of the world showed themselves well. Now, again, how this translated into the regular season, we will see. But I liked what I saw out of the interior of our defensive line. And again, you have to get pressure on the quarterback, right? I thought Louis Riddick said this very eloquently on one of the broadcasts for the preseason games about the idea of, I think it was the Monday night game against the Jets. In the NFL, you got to get the quarterback down on the ground. You can't be a successful defense in the league without getting the quarterback down on the ground. Do I think we're a 40-sack team? No. Do I think we're an 18-sack team? No. We'll be better than that. So I like what we were doing to get quarterback pressure, both not just outside, but more importantly is getting something going on the inside of all of that. I think we have two really good cover corners. We'll talk about one of those guys a little bit later on here in the show, but I think we have two guys that we trust on the outside. I feel like Casey Hayward showed enough to tell you that, okay, he may not be a number one corner anymore, but he certainly is up there, and he can certainly be a very viable number two to partner up with A.J. Terrell. Thought the other thing that we learned is it's very cluttered as far as the wide receiver room goes. I don't know how you sort out one guy from the other. And that's what's going to be interesting is when this team does need to make a throw and it does have to huck it around a little bit. And if you get down a little bit in the game and you have to throw to come back, can those wide receivers make enough plays? It's a very mishmash room. And when you think about for the Falcons, really since the start of the Thomas Dimitrov regime with Julio, with Roddy, Ridley, Sanu, you think about how good the Falcons have been at wide receiver for a long, long time. Now, part of that is, again, you had a throw-it-first quarterback. You had a quarterback who his main job, drop back, huck it around, do what you have to do. So we've been very, very good at wide receiver, and we've kind of gotten used and comfortable to kind of expecting that. This group is going to be a real mishmash. Can Zacchaeus make a play? Could Darby or could Darryl Hodge? I'm really hoping Brian Edwards and obviously Drake London, who we saw for 5 snaps in the preseason, I'm hoping those guys can really step their game up and show that they can make some plays out there. But really, it is a mishmash at wide receiver. So I'm happy with what the Falcons did in this preseason. I think that there are things to be excited about. Hope springs eternal is my message to everybody. Hope springs eternal. I don't think they're going to be a 2-win team. I think they're going to be much better than that. I really do trust the coaching staff. And let's see what happens starting week 1. Who knows? A couple weeks later, we may change everything. But no, I like what the Falcons have done in the preseason, and it makes me feel good as we head in to September 11th against the New Orleans Saints. All right, when we come back, should we have concerns about the back end of the Braves bullpen? I'll give you some numbers. We'll report. You decide. Hitting hard with Jon Chuckery, Locked on Sports Atlanta.